My previous video, I spoke about dyslexia in adults and what signs you can look at, you can look for in an adult who is dyslexic, what struggles they have, what challenges they have. So in this video, I want to focus on the free screening tools available online. If you have ever wondered, maybe as an adult, you still struggle with spellings, you still struggle with reading, and you seemingly are not at par with your peers, and you think maybe there's something that I need to investigate. So this video is going to assist you maybe spot any signs that maybe have to do with dyslexia and related neurodiverse conditions. So, having said that, what I want to look at are the screening tools, but these screening tools are not a complete diagnostic tool that you can say, I took this test online and it showed me that I'm dyslexic. You cannot do that. What you can do is they just get as close as possible to letting you know if you need further assistance or further diagnosis from a trained professional. For a full diagnosis, you will need a trained professional to help you check if you are dyslexic. But these tests will help you notice if there are any signs, spot any signs of being dyslexic or not. Now, what are these screening tools? What are these tools and what are they not? Now, these tools, they're just like questionnaires or checklists that can reveal as close as possible the likelihood or the risk of you being dyslexic. So the likelihood of you being dyslexic. And then what you will then need to do is you, based on the results that you get from that uh, uh, checklist or that questionnaire, you will then need to carry out further tests, as I've said. Now, what major screeners do we have online? The ones that I want to talk about. What tools do we have? So I want to look at two of them, and I will provide the links to these in the description. So number one I want to look at is the Adult Reading History Questionnaire. Adult Reading History Questionnaire. This is from the International Dyslexia Association. This looks at your history. Where do you struggle the most in your reading? Your experiences, your past experiences, your current experiences, and then what challenges do you have currently? And then will score you either as minimal, moderate, or as significant. So these are the scores. That is minimal, meaning that you may not be dyslexic, but then there is moderate or there is significant, which may you may take this test and maybe score a significant test and think maybe I'm dyslexic. So that, as I said, you will need a trained professional to fully diagnose you if you are dyslexic or not. But this just gives you an indication of the presence of dyslexia or being dyslexic. Right. So that is what this screener will do. That is the Adult Reading History Questionnaire from the IDA, or the International Dyslexia Association. So I'll provide the link in the description. Then the second one is the British Dyslexia Association Adult Checklist. Now, this is a checklist that will look at your history in reading, your writing skills, your organization skills, your how you take directions, how you take instructions, several instructions at once, number sequences, and everything associated with that. And then this checklist is going to score you. There is a score that you get from that, and then you compare their what the scores are supposed to mean. So you can access that online as a PDF document. You can access it online and you can take the test. So these are the two that I want to focus on. The other two, there are many other tools available online if you really want to check as many as you possibly can. So you can still do that. So for these two, I will provide the links in the description. Some of the signs that these tests will spot. Now, I want to focus on these signs and what commonly will be revealed by these tests. So this test will look at your reading skills. Do you read slowly? Okay, so this test will want to explore if your reading is slow or your reading is just like the same as your peers. So reading slowly, or having to read and reread paragraphs? Are you able to read once and understand everything, or you find yourself reading many times to understand the passage? So that is another thing that this test will look at. So the other also your spellings. Do you spell words differently? Do you find yourself having to spell one word in different ways? Let's say in a particular write-up, you're writing it, let's say you're given something to write, and then there is a word that you want to write, and then you write it in different ways. Whenever you write that word, you're writing it in a different way. So in terms of spellings. So that is what this test will also want to focus on. And then also to find if you have difficulty in sounding unfamiliar words. Maybe you're saying this word for the first time. Are you able to sound it out as it should, or you really struggle to do that? And then, do you mix up visually similar words? For example, cat and court. If you mix up those words, then uh, these tests will look at that. And then this test also want to find out if you have any troubles with sequencing. Let's look at maybe how you retain phone numbers. Are you able to retain phone numbers? Are you able to recall phone numbers? Let's say there is a phone number that you need to know. Even I've seen some adults who may not even know their own phone number, or they may not know other people's phone numbers. So that's they have a difficulty with that, especially because if they have a problem with sequencing. And then some will look at your directions. How are your directions like? Are you able to to differentiate between your left and your right? And then also to look at if you're given several instructions at once, are you able to take in those instructions, or you struggle with that? And some of the adults who are dyslexic avoid reading aloud. They find it very uncomfortable to read aloud. And so these tests will look into how you read. Uh, are you able to read out maybe in where maybe you have to find yourself reading aloud? Are you able to do that? So these tests will look into that as well. And then the last thing, the last sign I want to look at, which can be revealed by these tests, is do you have a challenge organizing your thoughts on paper? Because mostly a dyslexic will have very brilliant ideas, but never able to put them down on a paper. So that is organizing thoughts on paper. So these are some of the areas that these tests will look at, these questionnaires will look at, and then will then categorize you as either dyslexic or not dyslexic. But remember, I will emphasize again, these tests are not conclusive. You will need a trained professional to diagnose you on that. Now, you may find that these signs, many adults will have these signs, but it is not just the general presence of these signs. It is how persistent these signs are, and how they get to affect the individual. Because generally you'll find them in many people, but the persistence and the presence of many of these in an individual will suggest that maybe they are dyslexic, and further tests may be needed to be carried out. And then how to use these tests? So what you need is just be honest with yourself. Okay, if you're taking out these tests, be honest with yourself. Give yourself time to go through these tests, and then be as just in a relaxed in atmosphere. Take out those tests, and then if you have taken the test, and then follow the guidance that is given in those tests, so that you can benefit from the tests themselves. Then so, in conclusion, this is what these tests are and what they do. And I will emphasize on that these tests are not conclusive. You will need a trained professional to tell you or to diagnose you if you are dyslexic or not.